Second, welcome to 21 things I've learned in my 21st year of life. My birthday is tomorrow, November 17th. I'm turning 22. This year was a big slap in the face for me. I mean, it was a pretty big slap in the face for all of us, but me too. But anyways, a slap in the face is sometimes a good thing because you learn. That's me like convincing myself that that's the case. It really is the case though. Let's do it! First, always be open to self-growth because you're never done growing. Even watching this video, that's a great fucking start. I think all in all, the most important takeaway I've had in this lesson is just learn from every experience. If you have a bad experience, if you fail, that's okay, as long as you gain something from it, which is knowledge of what you've learned. So always be asking why. Why? I'm not good right now. I'm like, woo, it's a weird day. Second, things are often bad, if not terrible, before they're good, if not amazing. You must see the darkness in order to acknowledge the light. I couldn't pull this shit out of my ass. Like, it's true. It just sounds like bullshit, but it's not. So for me, that's something to remember when I'm feeling helpless or hopeless. I'm actually doing a research paper right now for school on mental health and religion. I wasn't raised to be religious, but this year I've discovered the concept of spirituality and what it does for people. I didn't know this, but AA, I'm not an alcoholic, but for AA, the 12 steps are all based on sort of like a spirituality discipline, that's what they call it. All in all, I think at the end of the day, what spirituality gives is a sense of hope. A constant theme that I found in my research is that having something to make you hopeful is like a game changer when it comes to growing and healing. Maybe you're not religious or spiritual. Even this mentality alone is something that gave me hope, like the fact that there's light beyond the darkness. Because there is. There always is. And then there's darkness again. And then there's light again. And that's fucking life. You live, you learn. Next. People come and go, especially at my age. My social life kicked the can this year, and I thought it was like end all be all at first. It's not. At this age, you're like kind of for the first time deciding who you want to put your time and energy into. Losing friendships, it's normal, and it only opens up room for new friendships down the line. So if you're feeling lonely, just remember that if you keep doing you, they'll come to you. That was supposed to be a rhyme, but it was cheap because I rhymed you with you, but it's true. Next, off that topic, be your own friend. Man, that's the one thing you can do for yourself is to like try to learn to love yourself, be nice to yourself, and be your own friend. Because as you get older, it's pretty clear that like no one gives a shit about anyone. That's not exactly true, but people have their all-consuming lives that they live in. So at the end of the day, you have you. So have your own back. Next, you can do anything you put your mind to. Look, I can't build an airplane, but I don't want to build an airplane. I do have goals of my own, and if you have goals that you're passionate about, hard work and believing in yourself goes a long way. This is ironic because at this point in my video, I was planning to make an announcement. I was gonna say, dreams do come true. One thing I've always wanted to do is act, and I acted in my first show, which was supposed to come out this Friday, and it is no longer coming out, so it's kind of countering my point, but like I think everything happens for a reason. We'll see what happens with it. The show is supposed to go on full screen. They're shutting down their SVOD service, and so as of right now, I have no news for you in regards to that show. I've mentioned it before, but yeah, I still believe dreams come true. Next! You're never done learning. I'm done learning, actually. I graduate this semester, but you're never done learning in the sense that I feel like you should always be stimulating your mind. Read a book. If you don't like reading, watch a documentary. Just like try to learn. For real, for real, for real, knowledge is power. When I finish graduating, I plan on taking classes because I'd like to work on other skills that I wasn't able to work on in school. Like, I want to take a writing class. I'm taking singing lessons right now. Not to say I'm ever gonna do anything with singing in my life, but like, it feels good to be actively trying to better myself in areas that I care about. And like, I do actually plan on doing something with singing down the line. So yeah, always be just trying to grow in as many different ways as you can. Next! Maybe don't get a tattoo. Or 4. Maybe your parents were right, that it's a bad idea, that you'd regret it. Next, write as much as you can. If you don't address a feeling, a problem, or an issue you're having, and you bottle it up, it will only get worse later down the line or kind of morph into something more complicated. So I find writing therapeutic in that it just like forces me to get out whatever I'm thinking. I start writing and sometimes I'm writing stuff I didn't even think I would be writing about once I sat down. Trust your instincts. Oh my god. Your brain takes in a lot more than you even know. If you have a hunch about something or someone, you're generally right. I used to never trust my gut, and I let a lot of bad people into my life, and then I made excuses for them. But at this point, I think the best thing I can do is listen to my instincts. Just being a bit more cautious about who I let into my life. That may be different for you, because some people are too closed off, but I was like not closed off enough. And then everybody in the world was like, let's stomp on Alex. I'm fine. Next, dog parks. They exist, and they are the happiest place in the entire fucking world. Anytime I'm having like an off day or I'm feeling stagnant or sad, I just go to the dog park and play with those little motherfuckers. Also, my shirt has a bunch of little dogs on it, so it's pretty cute. Moving on. Confirmation bias is real. Confirmation bias is when you are looking for facts that support the answer you want. I wasn't in a great place, and my psychiatrist recommended that I take a mood stabilizer. I, desperate for a solution, went online and read only the good reviews. It's like my mind like blacked out all of the bad things people had said. I started taking the medicine, and in 2 months, I was a zombie. I was stupid. My brain was moving so slowly, I could barely have conversations. I didn't even know what type of YouTube videos to make because there was nothing happening in there. So I weaned off of that, and I'm not taking it anymore. Another lesson is like, know what you're putting in your body. But is when you're making big decisions, acknowledge what it is you want to be doing and make sure you're collecting all the right information and it's not being affected by your either like, I don't know, your desperation for a solution or an answer. Learn to cook. I wish this was a brand deal. It's not. I started doing Blue Apron this year. It's like a subscription food service. They send you a recipe and all the ingredients to make said recipe. 3 recipes a week. From doing this, I've just learned how to cook. I eat out way less and I've lost weight. A lot of you guys have even been commenting saying that it looks like I've lost weight, and I haven't even been trying. I don't know. No, but it actually is life-changing. Cooking's like, I think, a very important skill. And also, it's quite therapeutic. It's a nice, fun, relaxing activity. Which leads me to this next one, and that is to connect with yourself. For me, connecting with myself or having like me time used to be sitting in front of the TV and watching comedy for like 6 hours because it would make me feel better. And that's great, and it does make me feel better, and I love TV. But I think it's so important to spend like true real time with yourself in more like meditative activities. So cooking, drawing, writing, sitting, going to the dog park. I actually used to have a lot of trouble with this. I was like a serial activity doer. I wanted to ignore things so badly that I constantly kept myself preoccupied, and it exploded in my face. So I've slowed down in my life and learned to take time for myself. The first step I ever made to doing this was just driving without listening to music. It's still hard for me to truly meditate. I think nowadays we all kind of like have a little bit of like the need for some sort of stimulation. To be able to just do an activity and focus solely on that is a form of meditation. So try that. It might bring some more peace or sanity into your life. Another issue I had was thinking that I was wasting my time when I was spending time just with myself doing nothing productive. But I look at it now like watering the plant. You water yourself, you nourish yourself, and then you flourish. Especially for me, a lot of my job is coming up with ideas, whether it's YouTube related or off of YouTube, and I can't just sit down and make it happen. I have to be in like a mentally okay, open state. Actually, this is crazy, but if you are at all a creative person, I recommend, or if you're not, I don't know, I recommend reading the book Big Magic. It's by the woman Elizabeth something. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. She talks about the idea of creativity or like living your happiest life, and then she goes into detail about where she thinks ideas come from, and it's kind of weird. What she's talking about has always been something that's kind of like flopped around in my head, but I couldn't put words to it, and she words it majestically. So if you're interested, it's a good book. It's a good read. Speaking of a good read, Ishmael! Read it! I read this book, Ishmael, and it changed the way I look at the world and my own life. It's a philosophy book about humans and our place on this planet. It talks about how we've come to this place that we're in right now of like a very unsustainable living, and how to possibly address the problem of climate change, which I think is a question we all need to ask ourselves because we're all a part of this. Next! I've already talked about this in a video, but it was a really important lesson for me this year, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. You can choose happiness. I can't like have a serious face when I'm saying half of this shit because it's so cliche, but cliches are cliches for a reason. I used to be such a negative person, but there is a true skill that you can teach yourself in identifying a negative thought and understanding its value or lack of, and then being able to throw it away. And so this is not something that ever made much sense to me when I first learned about it in therapy, but it's a skill. You have to get better at it. So hopefully if you haven't heard of this, hearing it is the first step for you. It's not easy. You have to want to be happy and be more positive. If you're more interested in learning how to incorporate this type of thinking into your life, look up CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, Negative Thoughts, and you might find some interesting advice. Next! You don't need to spill space in a phosphorus. You don't need to spill space in a phosphorus. You don't need to fill space in a conversation. You may not relate to this whatsoever, but I would always take on the responsibility of like a lull in conversation, and I would then just talk out of my ass to fill that void. And then I would kick myself in the ass for like 6 hours for saying whatever stupid thing I would always say. I still say stupid stuff. I mean, this is still an issue for me. But a friend just told me one day, she was like, yo, you know that you're not responsible, even in a one-on-one conversation, to continue the conversation. Put your part in and breathe. Next! This piece of advice changed my life. I've already made a video about it. It was my collaboration with Microsoft. I'll link it down below. Concern yourself less with the future and focus on the right now. If you want to get to Z, you're gonna have to be actively present from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, onward. I feel like I used to be so wrapped up in worrying about all the things that could possibly go wrong that I wasn't really like living my life, and I'm just increasing the likelihood for things to go wrong. So it's about the journey, not the destination. That's the quote that I have come to live by, and this helps me kind of ground myself every day in reminding myself to just enjoy the day as is. It brings me a bit more peace to have this mentality. I guess that comes back to negative thoughts. It's like acknowledging that your worrying isn't going to do anything for you. Once you think about it once, let it be and try to live your life. And if it's out of your control, you really can't be worrying about it. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't worry about things out of my control. I always do. But it's important to recognize that there's no value in doing it because it takes the power away from these thoughts and they're not as daunting. Next! It's okay to say no. That's it. Next! There are grays in the world. I'm a very person. It's like either here or here, but it's neither nor there, nor here nor there, nor here nor there. What? It really helps to stop searching for definitive answers or needing to see things in black and white, good or bad. Things are complicated, so if you can learn to sit with that complication, it'll bring a lot more ease into your life. Be healthy for the sake of being healthy. I used to be a calorie counter. I used to like excessively work out or worry about what I was eating, and I was heavier in those times in my life than I am now. You are really doing yourself a favor by just like choosing a healthy lifestyle. Exercise because you want to feel good, eat right because it feels good. It tastes good too if you figure out what healthy foods you like. If I'm craving a giant fucking chocolate chip cookie, girl, I am eating that giant chocolate chip cookie, and it's fine because I have a normal diet otherwise. I think worrying about your intake usually increases your intake because you're so overly consumed with it. I mean, that was an issue for me a really long time ago. I feel like I got past that. It was like in high school. But more so now than ever, especially with learning how to cook, I've just been living my life because I care about myself and being healthy, and it feels good. Oh, and floss. Yeah, I didn't do that for a while as a child, and now I'm like, ew, what the fuck? If you've got beef between your teeth, it would be bomb. Next, this is just a general 2 points on the topic of sleep. I didn't know this, but I found myself with a friend in the emergency room this year. We were like laying on a cot in the middle of the hospital, and a doctor came up to us and he told us, you know, if you don't get a lot of sleep tonight, it won't affect you tomorrow as much as it'll affect you the next day. So if you're in college or school and you're toying around with those all-nighters, keep that in mind. It's important. Also, lastly, on the topic of sleep, some days it's just so fucking hard to get out of bed. We all feel that way sometimes, you know? Preach. I spend a lot of time lying in bed looking at inspiration to get out of bed, and the one thing that I found that was most helpful to me is kind of looking at it the same way you look at exercise, which is just like, after you do it, you'll feel better. It takes like 5 minutes to truly be awake, so if you can just get yourself out of bed, then you're fine. You may still be miserable, but all in all, you'll always be happier if you actually get yourself out of bed than you will if you don't. Unless you like die that day or something. I don't know. I'm rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you even like a slight tiny bit. Happy birthday to me! I will see you guys in my next video. Have a good night. Have a good day. Leave a comment down below. Hip hip hooray. I will see you next Thursday. I need to go.
Don't fool yourself in thinking you're more than you are, with your arms outstretched to me.